Absolutely lovely weather this morning in Arizona, and I'm going to the Rising Stars August tournament. It was exactly 1 year ago that I did my first ever over the board tournament at Rising Stars, and so this is kind of a cool event. I'm going to be giving away a Chessnut board at this tournament, and I'm holding it right now. It's a Chessnut Air and it's sealed box. So I'm quite excited to give this away to the winner of the under 1200 section. Thank you all again for over 10k subscribers on YouTube, and let's see what we can do in the tournament today.
In the first round of the tournament, I was playing the white pieces against a young girl named Sarah. Her rating was 1373 and I was sitting at 1495, hoping to get over 1500 for this tournament. I played d4. I had the white pieces. I'm happy to get into a Jobava London d4. We put a pawn in the center. We control e5. They bring a pawn into the center. They control e4. And here my knight jumped out to c3, controlling d5 and e4. They went knight f6. My bishop came out to f4. This is the starting position of the Jobava London, the main opening that I play. Now, there are ideas of attacking this pawn on c7 with knight to b5, kind of like the opposite of a fried liver, where you bring your bishop out here and your knight out here and go after this pawn with everything. But this didn't happen. She played e6. I went e3. You don't want to play knight b5 before e3 generally, because knight b5, they can just go knight a6 and then they can kick your knight away with c6. So e3 is the typical book move. They went a6, so no ideas of bringing the knight in. And so here I went for the top move, the only move that gives white still an edge, g4. And after she played c5, I wasn't quite sure. I was out of book now. And I didn't know if I should play g5 myself, or if I should just try to develop some pieces, or if I should take the pawn on c5, causing her to recapture with the bishop, and maybe her bishop's a little misplaced on c5. Often when I play the Jobava, I always hate when the enemy bishop comes out to b4 and pins my knight to the king. It's always uncomfortable. And so I thought in this position, if I take on c5, then it's going to take 2 tempos for her to come to b4 and pin my knight, and I'm happy with her wasting 2 tempos. However, the move I should have played was g5. Kicking this knight. I took the pawn. She recaptured. And here I could have again gone g5, or I could have gone bishop g2, putting my bishop on the long diagonal, something I don't generally like to do in the Jobava. It's a bit weird, but in this structure, it actually is good. But the top move here is still g5. I need to kick this knight away. I've committed the pawn. I need to do it, but I didn't. I thought I'll just develop. She's got now about a point advantage. And so, yeah, I was a little unsure. I wasn't in familiar territory, but I did know that I can always push e4 and maybe try to break through the center. But having g4 just felt a bit weird. I wasn't entirely sure. I thought I was probably going to be castling queenside this game. She put her knight onto c6. I pushed g5 finally. She retreated her knight. And now I was kind of stuck thinking, well, what am I doing with this pawn? They could easily kick my bishop away. And when my bishop moves, then I'm going to lose this pawn. So then I thought, do we play h4? Or do I develop with knight f3, defending the knight that way? I didn't like the developing here because I just thought like they're going to get a kick in here and I'm going to pull back. And then there was this kick with the pawn hitting d3 and the knight on f3. And so you can kind of understand why I didn't want to go knight f3. Here I just went h4 instead. Now my opponent has a 1.5 point advantage. They went e5. I pulled back. And they went knight b6. I pulled my bishop back, looking at this pawn 2 times. Yes, they have 2 defenders, but I thought my bishop's just feeling a bit awkward here. I probably should pull it back and maybe even route it over this way. Looking at this bishop, it's defended by the queen. Didn't seem like I had much home on d3. she played bishop f5, looking at this pawn. So I kind of thought she's going to jump in here. I attacked her bishop. So if she tries to jump now, I can take the bishop off for free. So she captured my bishop and I recaptured. Now the game is a little more even and honestly fairly interesting. I thought the fact that I had the g5 push, it was kind of stopping my opponent from wanting to castle. And I thought I could maybe keep her king in the center for longer. But you can understand why someone wouldn't want to castle here. And in fact, I do think it's not the greatest move. The position goes back to equal. But I have just a very strong focus for the game. I know exactly what I'm going to go for, is this castled king. But she didn't castle here. Instead, she played knight b4, going after this weakness here. And when she played this, I immediately castled my king. Because, I mean, doesn't that just look beautiful? Like full development here, pinning this pawn, maybe going to take it here at some point and do something crazy. I probably should have considered that, but I didn't. Knight c6, she just retreats because she realizes her knight doesn't really have a home. And I go knight f3, developing one of my last pieces. My advantage is about 2 points of material now. She goes bishop b4, and here I lift my rook. But if we look at this position, I have a very simple plan. And it might not be super obvious if you look at this. The knight and queen are defending this pawn, and my knight and my rook are attacking it. But I can just take it for free. Now, if I had just taken it, she would have definitely taken back. I'm almost positive of this. 2 knights defending her bishop, so I can't take the bishop, but I can take on e5 here. She's not able to move this knight for a while because the queen will die on the other side. So maybe she would castle here, and then I could take c6. She would recapture most likely. This is pretty logical, but then e4 is basically the big hit. And once you get e4 in, the queen has to move and you can capture the knight back and you're just going to be up material. Now, I could have done this slightly different. Let's say she went here instead. I can capture with the bishop. I still have e4 coming. Let's say she wants to get out of the pin somehow. If she moves her queen, let's say to a5, this way she's still defending. Then I can just do bishop takes here, and she hasn't been able to castle, and rook's going to come here. But now my queen can come e4 check and hit this. Now we have 2 attackers here. Maybe they pull back and we just go here. You know, everything looks fantastic. So I do need to take moments in the middle of my game to look for these ideas, and I kind of saw them and then I didn't really take the time to consider, and I should have. Instead I just went rook d3, and it looks like there's a pin here, but there really isn't because I can just capture. They can't recapture because the rook is hitting the queen, and so here my opponent just took the knight off and I recaptured. I'm up a point of material according to the engine. My position's pretty solid. She went e4. Here I move my knight into the center, and she went knight b4. Now, this is another point where I missed something, and I actually saw it like 1 or 2 moves later and was like kicking myself. I thought, why didn't I go for that? But the really good plan here, I went for the second best move, which was king b1. This is the second best move, and it still keeps a considerable advantage, but the plan that I missed, and I was really annoyed with myself about, was knight takes e7, forking the queen and the rook. And so in this position, like, the king is most likely going to take. I mean, if it doesn't take, I'm winning a big exchange here. So we would take here, and then rook c7 check, because the bishop's holding c7. The best move by the engine is to take the rook. I very much doubt she would have done that, because most players at this level are materialistic, but her position's completely crushed here. So let's say she doesn't take here. Maybe she goes knight d7 just to block the attack. Then I have rook takes d7, and I'm doing fine anyway. If she just moves her king, let's say her king goes back to here. We have a force mate in 2. Queen check. King has to go here, and that's checkmate. If the king goes back to here, same thing. Queen f5 check. The queen can block on f6, but we take it. If the queen doesn't block, let's say they go here or here. it's checkmate on f7 regardless. And I actually saw this idea afterwards and I was kicking myself that I didn't go for this. I instead went king b1. My opponent put their rook on c8, and it was in this position that I really started to consider this and saw, oh, the rook is holding c7. I can't infiltrate with the rook. And I was quite frustrated with myself. But I knew that my position was still pretty good. I just couldn't quite figure out the right move here. Like, I spent forever trying to find something. I found the third best move. The best move here was rook b3. And I didn't like the look of this because it just seemed like they could capture a pawn for free here. But after rook c1, you know, if the knight tries to jump anywhere, it gets eaten. So we're doing completely fine here. I was just so scared of the knight taking. I didn't go for this. The second best move was g6, just trying to break open stuff here. I didn't find that move either. I instead found queen f5. Threatening checkmate in 1. I thought it was solid, but she just castled. She found the best defense. Now here, yes, I thought about this. Yes, I thought about pushing these pawns. Couldn't quite find the right idea. Again, rook b3 was good because they can't capture this pawn, and also it hits both of these knights. They would. I'm sorry, I just moved the wrong square. If I went here, their probably best response is a5 to defend, but then I can just go a3 or maybe even better c3, and the knight has to move, and we're looking at this. It's not amazing, but it's pretty decent. So that's one thing that I could have gone for. But in this position, I couldn't find a way to deal with this rook looking at c2, and I really thought it was dangerous if she took it. And so I just decided I'll trade off the pieces. I think my endgame's going to be better, which was the wrong decision. Rook takes c8. Position's basically equal now. She took on c8. I took with the queen. She took with the rook. I played c3. She retreated. I moved my rook into the center, attacking this pawn, although it is defended. She captured. I captured. She moves her king, and I situate my bishop in the center of the board. I'm still up half a point of material, but I should not have traded down. I think when you think about ideas of like rook takes on c2 or knight takes on c2, you got to just like look a step or two further, because after they take on c2, it was very obvious that I could just go rook c1 and be totally fine. And I think that's something in a lot of my games. It's like, I need to just see a couple steps further. Like, yes, it's dangerous that they take on c2, but what can I go from that point on? And actually spend the time calculating just a few steps further. And I think it would help my game a ton. She went knight d7. I went a4, trying to stop these pawns from pushing. She jumped in. I went a5. Now these pawns can't move. This one can't move. And if this one moves, we can take. Here she put her knight on d3, a very powerful square, but didn't think it was doing all that much. My pawn is weak here, so I defended it. She brought her rook up, and I pushed f3. Now, she can take here, and then I thought maybe I can move in here and eat this one, but I wasn't really concerned if she did take. She didn't. Rook came to e6. I pushed h5, and she pulled her knight back. And here I had a big decision to make. I could have played f4. This is not what I did. It's the top engine move. f4, let's say her knight jumps away somewhere. Then I have these connected pawns, and I can start pushing them and doing something. Looks quite nice. So f4, let's say she comes over here, looking at the base of the pawn chain, rook d1, and I'm going to eventually move this bishop and target the pawn on d5. Everything else is structurally sound. There's no way for my opponent to do anything. But I didn't do this. I instead thought it kind of looks like I can trap her rook a little bit. So I captured her knight, she took, and I went f4. And I thought if she steps over trying to hold on to d5, then the rook has no squares to go to. And I thought that looks really good. And then I also thought if she just pulls her rook back, well, then we can go rook d1 and attack this one. Yes, she can defend, but I can move up and it just seems like I'm attacking more. King e7 is the best line here. c4 is good because they can't take, because otherwise we take the rook off, and then my king's going to eat this one most likely and just be doing totally fine. Seemed good for me. However, she did play her rook to f5, and so now I thought we kind of have this rook trap. And I had just been learning in one of my Patreon videos that you can go check out. I do educational videos on Patreon about trapping rooks, and this was in my mind as I played this. So she moved her king up, and I put my rook on d4. This rook can't get out, and so she tries to break out, and I went rook b4. The rook still can't move. She captured, and I took with check, and the king runs away. So I felt like my rook's more free than this rook. So it seemed like I had gotten a little bit of an advantage here. My rook's just more active. I captured the pawn here, fully expecting rook captures back, but she played rook e5. And I think she was worried about this pawn promoting. Like maybe she captures here and I just go here and eat this, or here and eat this, and then over and just push. And it is a scary pawn on a5. So I understand why she did what she did, but it seemed like maybe just take here and then here and then here. Just seems more simple because it's going to take 1, 2, 3 just to get off of this file here that then I can start advancing. But anyway, I advanced h6. She went king g8, and I went g6. And this was very interesting because, like, if you look here, if she takes here, then I can capture, and this is good, and the king has to go here. And then, I mean, it just looks so good, doesn't it? Like, probably rook here, and I can capture this one, and I'm defending. b4 is apparently best, just locking everything down so I don't have to worry about this pawn. So I thought h6 was a good move. And then when she went g8, I saw g6, and I thought, okay, let's say she captures here, then we take here with check. And let's say she captures here, then I take here with check, and I pick this one up. So I thought this was a really solid move. She captured this one, which was best. I took g7. She moved up to g7. I promoted to a bishop because if I promote to a queen, I know she's going to capture my queen. But I thought if I promote to a bishop, maybe she wouldn't capture it, and then I'm just up a minor piece. So you always got to like leave room for that. But the reason I promote here is because they can take and I can win this pawn, or I can go here and win this one. So I just decided to win the pawn on a6. And here my opponent made a really weird move, rook e7. This really confused me. I thought just move your king up because then my rook can't get over here to attack this one. And then, like, let's say I go here, then you push this one, and I push, and you push, and I push, and you push, and I push, and you push, and it kind of looks like maybe you have some sort of chance. So none of that happened. I thought rook e6 was very strange here. Or I'm sorry, rook e7. I went rook h6. They went rook a7. And here I should have played b4. Don't know why I didn't, because pushing is dumb. I can't protect and take. But b4 would have just solved everything. But I went b4 now, and now I have to take, and they take, and then I take, and she goes here. At the end of the game, just went like this. She allowed me to swap off rooks. And we just get a quick checkmate on g5. Not super happy with how I played this game. I played with an 86.4% accuracy, and Sarah played with a 79.3%. But we got a win, and we were ready to go into round 2. My next opponent was Lil Dexter. I had the black pieces, and I knew what he was going to go for because he beat me with it last time. But I was hoping that I could get a nice position and have a look and see what happened. This one has 3 brilliant moves in it. A beautiful game. Dexter sat down at the board. We shook hands, and he played e4. I went c6, the Caro Kann. He went d4, I went d5, and he played bishop d3. This is an opening that Dexter likes to play, and honestly, it kind of throws me. I never quite see it online. I never really know what to do against it, but we played the best move. We took the pawn. He recaptured. I did the next best move, knight f6, and he defended his bishop, and here I went c5. I knew c5 was a move. It's like the third best move according to the engine, I think, here. Maybe fourth best. It's not a great move, but if they capture, then we can take here. And if king takes, that's their best. We can just capture here. If king doesn't take and knight takes, we capture this for free. So we're just up a piece. So this is honestly quite nice. You know, it's fairly solid, simple. Nothing's really happened. They've got doubled pawns. And although they're up a pawn, but we can get a lot of fast development here and do totally fine. So c5 is an okay move, but he didn't want to take it. And he instead pushed his pawn onto d5, which gives him a lot of space. I thought it was a bit odd, but we just tried to give a poison pawn. So another pawn for him to take so we can get some fast development. So if they capture here, again, we can take here. They have to take with king. In this position, I wouldn't recapture yet because if I capture with bishop, he takes on b7. And if I take with my pawn, then I have an isolated pawn. I would instead just capture, and then take on e6, which is totally fine for me. I have a nice position, and we are equal on pawns. After I played e6, he brought his bishop out to g5, pinning my knight. And so I got rid of the pin by playing bishop e7. He captured, I captured, and then Dexter played d6. I knew this was a bad move. After he played d6, I wasn't quite sure how to proceed. I thought queen b6 looked very interesting, but after just rook b1, I didn't see how this helped me at all. Maybe I can castle and then try to attack this pawn, but it wasn't super obvious. So I didn't play queen b6, and I instead played bishop e5, just attacking the pawn. And they pulled the queen up to f3, looking down here at b7. And this kind of worried me because take, queen takes, and what's going on here? Not looking fun. So in this position, I really should have played queen b6. It defends this and it attacks the pawn still. And I can probably recapture this soon. But I played queen d7. It's the wrong way to defend. And the reason is because castles, and what am I doing? Like, if I had gone here and they castled, now I have the beautiful bishop takes d6, and my queen is not pinned anymore. But after this one, if I take here, my bishop's pinned to my queen, and I just don't like having a piece pinned to my queen. You know, it's not fun. And my queen's not very active. I just felt like this was not good. And it's not good according to the engine. So this is what happened. They castled, and instead of trying to take this pawn immediately, I thought I'll just castle, get out of danger. But I didn't see the Greek gift, and Dexter did. His first brilliant move. I thought about it for a while. I thought king h8 or king takes h7. And I saw if I take h7, there's a check and he wins this bishop back and holds on to this pawn. I knew my position was losing, but I found the best move. I found to take, check, I moved back, my only move, and they captured the bishop. And now they have a pawn that's going to be really annoying for me to deal with. I thought, do I play my knight here and just try to tempo this queen away? Probably not. Maybe I should try to develop all my pieces. So I went for developing. They started pushing the h pawn. I attack the queen moves. I put my knight onto d4, centralizing it. H pawn moves. I put my bishop on b7, just trying to activate. Hopefully, you know, getting up here for some defense or here for some defense. The pawn moves. I attack the queen. The queen moves. I push the pawn. And here, the knight comes to f3. And really, I should just capture it, I think. Capture it, double the pawns, or capture it and queen takes. But probably pawns double and a rook comes here. It's looking pretty scary. I captured the pawn on d6. Not a wise decision to just take material when you are under these kinds of threats. Like, there's just a big attack incoming, and I need to try to not worry about material when an attack is happening, but just get my pieces as active as I can This knight was very active on f5, and pulling it back wasn't so great. I should have neutralized some of the danger here. Probably something like this, and then just placed my king here and got my rooks over to d8, you know, something like that. I don't know, but this is not what happened. I took the pawn, they attacked my queen, so I step over. They now sacrifice their rook on d6, and I really didn't know how to proceed. I spent ages trying to find the best move. I found it, but I knew my position was very dire. If I take this rook, then I'm gonna get tempoed and everything's just gonna fall apart. I thought king h7 looks like a move here, but not great. Then I'm just down a minor piece. So I thought I'll just have to capture the minor piece and trust that he'll lose more time on the clock calculating his big attack. I knew what move was coming next. It was the third brilliant move. Knight captures on g6, and beautiful find by Dexter. Here I played king h7, the best move. I'm up a point of material, but the engine is saying I'm down about 4 points of material because his position is so crushing. And here he spent quite a while like looking for a move. It took him quite a while. I think by the end of this he had maybe like 10 or maybe 15 minutes left. He went rook d1, and I immediately played queen b8, and he really looked shocked, like he had not even considered this move. After this move, my best move according to the engine is bishop d5 or queen takes rook, and he said he had considered both of those. I really considered this move, but I saw after this, I thought knight d4 looks really scary. And yes, I have f5, which I didn't consider, but I thought he's gonna take here, so I have to move the queen, and then I would probably have to move the queen back to here and defend the rook. And then I saw knight coming in here is a checkmate, and I didn't like the look of that. So I thought he was probably gonna try to set up a checkmate here, and it just looked so deadly. Probably almost anything he does is winning here. Knight g5 is one of his best moves. The king, if it goes here, I'm getting mated. If the king takes here, I'm getting mated. King has to take here, I'm getting mated. All three moves, I'm getting checkmated. So I would have to sacrifice my queen. So I didn't want to come back to d8. This whole idea with the bishop here, it seemed really ugly. I don't want to even take this, even though it's one of the best moves. I didn't see f5, and I kind of wish I did. Here I played the immediate queen b8 because I saw that we could still defend here. So if they take here, queen takes, and I'm surviving. You know, I'm surviving. I'm down a point of material, but I'm surviving. It looked doable. So here Dexter spent almost all the rest of his time. He had about 5 minutes left after he played this move, but he was confident. He gets 10 seconds of move added to his clock. He played this very well. He found the top move, which I thought he was going to play. So he played rook d7, infiltrating, attacking my bishop, attacking this pawn, and I immediately played bishop d5, hoping to trap the rook in. He took my rook, I took his knight, and he checked me, and so I moved to g8. And here he just played a very slow and simple move to finish me off. Queen f6. And what's going to happen? A deflection tactic. My king's going to have to take the pawn, and he's going to fork my king and queen. And so I just moved the pawn. I had nothing else I could do. Like if I move here, he just takes. If I move here, he can still do h7. I have to take, and here, you know, everything's losing. So I just played d4. h7 comes, I take, he forks, I move back. And I probably should have just taken and tried to play this endgame, but I'm going to lose. So I just played back, and he just checkmated me in 2. Beautiful game by Dexter. He played with an 89.5% accuracy, and I played with a 74.6. I didn't see the Greek gift. Next time, I'm hoping that I can crush him. And if you all saw the video earlier this week of day 17 of my journey to NM, and I talked about Eric and how much I want to destroy Eric. Dexter is Eric's little brother, and yeah, I have a fiery passion in my heart to destroy both of these kids. But it didn't happen today. So that's okay. It is what it is. Let's jump into round 3. Round 3 was probably the most embarrassing game of chess I've ever played. I went d4, d5, knight c3, knight c6. Very weird move. Nobody plays like this online. Completely forgot my theory, but I played all the best moves. Bishop f4, f6, just trying to prepare a strong center. Interesting idea. Knight f3, bishop g4, e3, and e5. And here I immediately thought, well, my bishop's in danger. I should make sure that my bishop stays out of danger. And so I thought moving back to g3 seemed fairly logical, but then I realized that this didn't work because after g3, e4, and this knight can't move. It's pinned. So I didn't want to do that. And then I thought, well, if I can't move it, I should probably just capture here. And then he's going to recapture and it's going to be the same thing. Where's my bishop going to go? Back to here. He pushes e4. This piece is pinned. And then I thought in my mind, oh, wait, I can attack his piece because he's attacking my piece. And I made the move and immediately I was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? So here he just took, I have to recapture and he wins a piece. So you just want a piece for free. If you're wondering if the move is bishop g5, you're also wrong because he can take here hitting my queen. I take here hitting his queen. He takes and rook can take d1. Then rook can take d8, and I'm just down a minor piece, and more pieces have traded off. So you might all be wondering, how do you get out of this annoying situation? I mean, it's very tricky. It's like, how do you fix this? If you can't take here and then move your bishop out, and we can't move our bishop back because of the pawn coming forwards, what do? Well, actually, you take, they take, which is what should have happened in the game. And here I have to play the only move that looks like a losing move. Bishop g3. And it's like, oh, why would I play this? Because e4 just looks terrifying. I can't move this knight and it's pinned. Why is this move okay? Because I actually can capture on d5. It's literally the only move. And why is this so good? Well, let's say they capture the knight now. Well, now I have g takes f3, hitting his bishop, and I'm also looking at c7. So if the bishop goes back here, we just take on c7 and we're laughing, you know, everything's good. But yeah, I didn't go into this line and I didn't calculate it. And I should have really calculated this position a lot longer, but I didn't calculate. And in this position, I played h3 and I just went down a whole knight. Like, just bad. I captured here. He tempoed my queen. I pull back. He develops his knight into the center. I castle. He attacks my knight. Here I played knight e2, the only decent move really. The queen moves up. I went knight f4. I just wanted my knight to be more active. Didn't really know what my plan was. Would be lovely if I could get a bishop on this diagonal, but it was very hard to get there. So I just kicked his bishop. He ran. I kicked his bishop. He ran. And here I tried to look to get my bishop on this diagonal, but it was kind of a big hope. He moves his king over. No hope for me anymore. I go queen g3, targeting this pawn. Knight jumps in and defends the pawn and also attacks my queen. I move my queen up. Hopefully, maybe I could, if this rook moved and, I could win a knight because it can't run away because this is not defended. There's some crazy hope in my mind, but nothing really. Knight goes back to e7, protecting the knight on f5. I move up to d3. 2 attackers on this knight, 2 defenders. They have 3 defenders now. There's no hope for me taking this knight. I go c3. Queen comes into a4, and I move my king up to b2. King's nice and snug here. I didn't really have too many problems, but now he starts routing his knights back around to the side of the board where my king is, getting ready to do a big attack. I pull my queen back. He goes a6. I have to defend this square. I jump my knight in. He moves his rook over. I pull my rook over to c1, hopefully going to get a push here at some point, but his knight comes in, and I really can't allow this knight to stay here because the queen's going to take here with check, and I'm going to be crying. So I took it off. He recaptured, and I do not want to trade queens, even though the engine says it's the best move. I instead went c4. He took, I took, and he pulls his queen back. Kind of a passive move, but understandable. He's just up a minor piece, so he can take his time with this whole attack. And I jumped over to c5, tempoing his queen. Here he took, and so I captured with the b pawn. Maybe surprising, but I saw this is an open file towards his king, and maybe we can get our rooks onto this file and we can attack the king here. He moved his rook over, don't know what he was doing. I went rook b4. He stepped out of the pin because right now I'm threatening to take on a6. So I pull my king back, getting ready to put my other rook here. He jumps in, attacking my rook. I go rook a4, still looking at this 2 times, and he takes on d4. I move my queen up to c4. He pulls his knight back. I go rook b1. And what do you think I'm thinking? Rook captures here, king captures, queen takes. This is sort of in my mind, but he defends it. He defends rook b7 with his rook on b8, and I'm not seeing anything. And so I just thought he defended it well. What do I do? And I thought rook captures a6, pawn takes. There's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing. And so I just played my rook up to b3. You're all like, what did Owen miss? I mean, it's very obvious, isn't it? Queen comes into check. I played king a2. Rook comes over to d8. I was worried about this. Thought, okay, let's try tempo his queen. He checks. I move my king. And then I saw, after queen e2, oh, I have a beautiful tactic. And it's so simple looking at it now, but I could have just taken rook takes on b7. And I saw this queen is really annoying because after take here, I could go here, but there's a queen here defending the square. And I saw, yeah, if here, this is checkmate. And I was like, this is so lucky that the queen is sitting here on e2. None of this works. And it wasn't until after the game that we chucked this into the analysis that we both saw, oh, I actually missed a checkmate in 2 times. So the checkmate was capture here. There's no queen on e2 guarding. Rook takes, queen takes, king here, checkmate. I had it 2 times. Like it's just terrible that I allow this 2 times. Again here, capture, capture, capture here, here. Yeah. Anyway, the queen went to e2, and so I have to trade off. They take, trade off. And the rest of this game is pretty sad. We just trade down, and I try to play it as best as I can. But he's up on knight, so I'm just going to lose, aren't I? And here I'm like kind of close to getting a pawn promoted, but his knight's way too powerful. And if I advance, I can't do anything because the knight will take. And I lose the game. Vivek destroyed me. Well played to him. If I see knight to c6 in the future, I'm going to know exactly how to deal with it. I just hadn't really studied that line, and props to him for having that line. I mean, it's kind of tricky, but now I can see completely how to deal with it. I'm not really worried about it anymore. But yeah, that opening was embarrassing considering I only play the Jobava. I've only really seen knight c6 on move 2 like maybe 2 or 3 times playing in all my online games. So Vivek destroyed me. I also could have got a checkmate in 3 if I had just realized it a few moves earlier, but I didn't realize it. You miss things, but that's what it is. According to the engine, I played with a 74.9 and Vivek played with an 82.4. I would say both of us are kind of ashamed of this game because he missed a checkmate in 3 twice and I missed a checkmate in 3 twice. But props to him for beating me with an opening that I'm just not ready for, that wasn't accustomed to. It's going to be in my brain now, and I'm going to beat you next time, Vivek, hopefully. But props to you. Let's jump into the final game. And honestly, lads, it's the best game out of all the games that I played in this tournament. I think it was my best. So let's have a look at it now. In round 4, I had the black pieces, and my opponent was a young boy named Eric. He was a 1387, and he played d4. I honestly don't know if it was d4 or if he actually played e4, but on my score sheet, I have written that he played d4. But I would never play c6 against d4. I don't play the Slav. But he played e4 and I played d5. So it might be that I just wrote the order of the moves wrong, because usually against d4 I always play a Dutch. But regardless, we get a Caro Kann here. It's an exchange Caro Kann. His knight comes out, I pin, I take the knight off, he captures my bishop, I play e6, he plays c3, and my knight comes to c6. And this is an exchange Caro Kann, and in the exchange Caro Kann, you just get your pieces onto good squares, you castle your king, and you go for a minority attack. That's all you have to do. You got 2 pawns here, and you attack the 4 pawns, and you always end up winning a pawn. I mean, it's just an easy, simple game. Like, it's the most simple stuff. I'll just show you how simple it was. He attacks my knight. I get my piece onto a good square. He attacks my knight. I remove the pin. He castles, I castle, he develops his knight, I put my rook on c8, he pulls his queen back, looking at this bishop, not sure what this move was, but here I just attack his bishop, and I know that if he pulls back here, it's not the most fantastic move. I go b5, it gives me tempo, you know, I want to play b5 regardless, you know, I play a3 for free, he moves, I play b5 for free, and now if he runs away, you know, I'm still moving, and he put his bishop on c2, and I immediately captured the pawn on d4. He can't capture back because we win his bishop. His best move is to capture back, and we take the bishop, but we just up a pawn. And so I was feeling pretty good. So he didn't capture back. He put his queen on d3, so I captured his bishop. He captured my knight. I'm up a pawn, so let's just go up another pawn. If he takes here, I win his queen. So he moves his queen. I take, he takes, I take. Now I'm up 2 pawns. Hold up. Now I'm only up 1 pawn. But I can attack his queen. My bishop is defending the rook. And we're going to attack this one as well. And so we've got 2 attackers on this pawn. And he's only got 1 defender. So he gets a second defender in a very creative way and attacks my rook. I pull my rook back. He attacks my queen. I pull my queen back. We still have 2 attackers on this pawn. He's only got 1 defender. But here his knight jumps in and I just simplify. Everything's simplified. I'm up a full pawn. This one's very weak. And life is good. I attack his rook, which is the defender. So I want to remove the defender so that I can win the pawn. He pulls over and I take the pawn. So far I've played absolutely perfectly, I think. He plays knight to f4. I go bishop to g5, a very interesting move that I took a long time to think about. And you got to be careful about this kind of move because it is a tactical sort of move. Like, what if he goes here and there's a tactic of winning my rook? You know, there could be something scary, you know, and also my bishop's undefended. No, it's not. The knight's holding it, you know, going here. Then you're like, oh, wait, this is attacked twice. Okay, not good. You could lose. So I did have a long think about this. But he just pulls his bishop back. So this was a very simple way to just play it. And he brings his rook onto the 7th rank, attacking my pawns. Now here I don't play the cleanest endgame. I'm up 2 points of material, you know, 2 pawns in the center. So I know I'm winning, but I don't play it the cleanest. But I don't play it awful, but it's not the cleanest. I start maneuvering my king, and this just isn't the way to do it because he can technically, you know, push these pawns and attack my king if he was able to earlier, like on d4 here. His best move here is g4, you know, getting ready to stop my king coming in. Now I have to go rook e2, which is a move I'm not going to play. My second best move is e5. This is what I would have played. Then king f1, he comes over here. And my king here might just get harassed a bit. It's just a bit awkward. But anyway, I push the pawn. I defend it, he attacks, I defend, he attacks, I move my king up, and we just are able to advance the pawns fairly cleanly. And it was in this position that I decided, let's give him a free pawn. Because I saw if I go rook b8 and he takes, I can check his king, and that's a checkmate because the rook blocks and we take for free. So I thought about this for a while. Rook b8, he takes king here. And then I thought pawn up, I can move up, and I'm still defending all the squares. My rook's going to checkmate. It looked good. So I did go rook b8. Now he took, and I went king e4. And in this position, he resigned. But he actually could have gone rook c1 and defend the checkmate threat. And it's going to take me a little bit longer to just push my pawns up. But I'm still doing totally fine. So I was pretty happy with this game. I mean, I went up a pawn, and then I went up 2 pawns, and then I held my advantage, and I pushed. Rook and pawn endgames are tricky, but I felt pretty confident with this one. So I ended the whole tournament with 2 points out of 4. We did end this tournament down about 20 points. We went from 1495 to 1476. The one game against Dexter, I just didn't see the great gift. And the other game against Vivek, it was an opening I hadn't played before. And I just got to freshen up on some of those openings and take my time when I get out of theory, because it's not going to be the Jobava you want to play or the Jobava you can play. It's going to be something weird. And I need to just lock in and really take my time, considering I shouldn't be playing moves like h3. Anyway, lads, hope you enjoyed this tournament. This tournament recap. This game I played with an 86.9. And Eric played with an 84.1. In the 1200 section, a man named Peter came first place. He won all 4 of his games, and he won the Chessnut.ai. So here's a clip with Peter. We chatted afterwards, and it was great to meet him. And I was happy that he won the Chessnut.ai because he was going to put it to some good use. Hey lads, here we are with Peter. He won the under 1200 section today. And so he is getting the Chessnut.ai. So there you go, Peter. How was your last game?
It was very intense. It was very well played by my opponents, so up to the very end. So it was an excellent tournament. I've never won before. I've never had 4 out of 4. So it was amazing.
And in the last game, Peter was on 3 full points because he won his first 3 games, and his opponent was on 3 full points because his opponent had won 3 games. So whoever won the 4th game was going to win the Chessnut.ai. So did it make you more pressure or more stress, or?
Oh yeah. It was a huge game, lots of pressure, but you just focus.
Yeah, you just focus and you get it done. Well, I'm happy that you got the board. You came 4-0. My tournament, I only won 2 games, so didn't play so well. But I hope you use the board, and I hope it's good for you.
Thanks. I look forward to trying it out.
If you do want to get a Chessnut board, use the coupon code Blunderman, and you'll get a big discount. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.